What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fann of showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs. And once again, this afternoon, I am joined by my good friend Michael D'Arcy, live from Super Bowl Media Week down in New Orleans. And in this video, we're going to talk about a big advantage that the Kansas City Chiefs have in this game. But first, before anything, Michael, just want to point out, got the disco lights on in the background. The first video we recorded, I forgot to turn them on. But like I said, we're undefeated with the disco lights on in the playoffs dating back to 2022. These disco lights will have seen a three-peat if the Chiefs are able to pull it off. And then also for the vibes, have to put the sunglasses back on. Now, Michael, it is my understanding that you also have a what should we say, a lucky piece of attire. Now, I don't know if you want to break it out for this episode.
Oh, yes, I do. Sometimes in this world, you just got to get slimed.
The slime hat. Look at that, guys. So we have brought the vibes for this episode. I'm sure we'll get a bunch of hate comments for it.
At first, I was like, Josh, where are you going with that? Like, is it a lucky shirt or something like that? And then I was like, oh, yeah, the slime hat. My bad.
So is this Nickelodeon inspired? Is that why they're doing that? Is that why they're giving those out?
Yeah. So they were giving out slime hats, and I was lucky enough to get my hands on one, and I look like an asshole doing this.
That may be worth a lot of money after this one. That's for sure.
I'm hoping. I'm going to try to get as many as I can. Maybe I'll give away a slime hat if I can get enough of them.
There you go. Yeah, you can give one away. So maybe we'll have to figure that out, a way to do that. Maybe on a live stream or something that we do. Anyway, guys, so what we wanted to talk about in this video is the coaching side of things, the coaching advantage that we believe the Kansas City Chiefs have in this game. So, Michael, I think, a storyline that's been overlooked a lot of this week has been the fact that not only do the Kansas City Chiefs just have the coaching advantage outright because it's Andy Reid and it's Steve Spagnuolo and these guys have done it before, but also the familiarity aspect, because when you look across the aisle at the Eagles coaching staff, they got Kellen Moore at offensive coordinator, Vic Fangio at defensive coordinator. Kellen Moore was with the Chargers in this division, and the Chiefs beat him multiple times. Vic Fangio, of course, was the former head coach of the Broncos. Now, am I mistaken, Michael? Did he ever beat the Kansas City Chiefs as head coach of the Denver Broncos? I don't believe he did.
Nope.
This is a guy that they have seen over and over and over again. And also, Vic Fangio temporarily joined the Eagles coaching staff for Super Bowl 57. That's something that people forget about. And still could not beat the Kansas City Chiefs. So, Michael, does that mean anything to you, the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs have a track record of success versus these guys on the other side?
I'm pretty sure that Vic Fangio is 0-8 against this Chiefs team. And maybe I'm mistaken, but he did not have a lot of success in Denver. And if he did, he would still be the head coach there. So he's not someone that I necessarily fear. Now, I do think that you saw in the games that Fangio was the head coach, or because didn't he go back to be the DC at one point? Maybe I'm just
he was the DC in Miami last year, and then he got fired from there before going to Philadelphia.
Well, I just know,
and they beat him in the playoffs, Michael, when he was with Miami.
That's why
defense looked awful.
That's why that sounded so familiar. And when he got hired on for the Super Bowl 57, I think he was some consultant.
Yeah,
he still scored 38 points.
Kind of weird.
Oh, it was for offense? Well, that's even stranger. But
yeah,
I'm not really someone that thinks that he's going to be able to have this defense, be able to stop Patrick Mahomes in this Chiefs offense. They might limit it, but just like with Saquon Barkley, you're not stopping Patrick Mahomes in this offense. You're just not. And we're not going to probably stop the Eagles offense. It's just who can make the timely plays when it matters. And I trust the Chiefs to do that.
Yeah, my big thing is, Vic Fangio, his defense did have some success against Patrick Mahomes, or slowing down Patrick Mahomes when he was with Denver. Now, Denver never had a good enough offense to win any of those games, but Vic Fangio did have a good defense. I don't want to make him seem terrible. There's a reason why he has the Eagles back in this position, being in the Super Bowl again after they shuffled around coordinators. But that being said, I think if the Eagles are going to win this game, they have to get pressure on Patrick Mahomes. And that's going to be extremely difficult to do when you look at the numbers, this Eagles pass rush is more middle of the road than it was in Super Bowl 57 2 years ago. They don't lead the league in sacks this year. They're more middle of the road. Vic Fangio does not send a lot of blitzes. Now, you may not want to blitz Mahomes because Mahomes is great against the blitz as well, but he's also great if you give him a lot of time. So Fangio has his work cut out for him here, but man, it's just going to be really difficult to see no matter how many talented guys they have in that secondary. It's going to be hard to see how they can stop the Kansas City Chiefs offense, coming off the bye week, 2 weeks to prepare. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl, going for a three-peat without having that great pass rush that they did in Super Bowl 57.
When I would argue that part of the reason that Vic Fangio is getting so much credit, and not to take away from his X's and O's coaching, but he's got a great roster. He's got great pieces on that defense. And so, yeah, they're good, but they're good because they've got great players. Jalen Carter, down the list, their corners are fantastic. And Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, they're really good. And so I think that while they do have, great players, that's part of the reason why their defense is so good.
For sure. You have to give credit to the talent acquisition ability of Howie Roseman, the general manager for the Philadelphia Eagles. But, I think for the most part, this is a guy that the Chiefs have seen so many times before. And I think they know what they need to do in order to be successful in this game. Now, as for the Chiefs defense versus the Eagles offense, Saquon Barkley is going to be, he's the big threat that you need to stop in this game. But looking at who coaches that offense, Kellen Moore of the Philadelphia Eagles, he was with the Los Angeles Chargers not that long ago. And the Chiefs have familiarity with him. I also think his offense is very creative, but I definitely think this whole operation is dependent on Saquon Barkley. And I think if you stop him, it's going to be really hard to see the Eagles winning this game because the passing game this year for the Eagles just has not been there. This isn't the same Jalen Hurts from 2 years ago. Michael, you mentioned it. There's questions about his health coming into this game. And you look at the Chiefs corners, they have a healthy Jalen Watson back, Trent McDuffie. I'm not necessarily worried about A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith beating them. Jalen Hurts is going to have to pull some tricks out of a hat in order to win this one, I think, because if you just rely on Saquon Barkley, I just think that's a bad game plan because I think the Chiefs are going to be prepared for him. And we've seen Steve Spagnuolo and this defense, stand up to the task of stopping these awesome running backs all year long.
When it's interesting because I've heard different analysts and RGR Football was talking about how it might have been Locked On Chiefs. They were talking about how they're more scared. Scared is probably the not correct term to use, but they're more worried about Jalen Hurts beating them with their arm than Saquon beating them on the ground because Saquon's going to have 200 rushing yards in order for them to have a chance. I kind of disagree there. I think Saquon is so good that he if the Eagles end up winning this game, if they dethrone the Chiefs and just completely shoot down the opportunity of a three-peat, Saquon Barkley is going to have a career game. And that's kind of to be expected for either player. But who's more likely to have a career game in this moment, Jalen Hurts or Saquon Barkley? I think the answer is obviously Saquon Barkley. And I don't think that Jalen Hurts is this, dynamic quarterback right now because of the injuries. And Josh, I mentioned it on our last video. If you pressure Jalen Hurts, he's a different quarterback. And guess what Steve Spagnuolo loves to do? Blitz. It's a match made in heaven for the Chiefs and in hell for the Eagles. I just don't understand how they're going to attack that. And while we've seen in previous Super Bowls, they love to try to find A.J. Brown over the top. But do you trust Jalen Hurts, not only with the arm strength, but with all the injuries to go make that throw against a Trent McDuffie or a Jalen Watson? He might get one, but I don't know how many he's going to get.
Yeah, and I mean, the question is how many of those would have to happen in order for you to beat the Kansas City Chiefs? I think it would take quite a bit. And then also,
handful.
For sure. And then you look at the head coach, Nick Sirianni. Andy Reid fired him back when he worked for the Kansas City Chiefs.
See ya.
And they beaten him in the Super Bowl before. And I think similar with the Buffalo Bills and kind of that boogeyman theory that I had, towards the end, oh my God, are we going to lose to this team again? Might be a similar effect with Nick Sirianni, oh my God, I can't beat this team in the Super Bowl. This stage is just too big. And then also too, like something else I want to throw in, I want to get your thoughts on. So Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator, is basically a lock for the New Orleans Saints head coaching job at this point.
Okay.
And we've seen before where coaches that are coaching the Super Bowl that have a job locked in elsewhere typically tend to disappoint in the big game because of that kind of looking ahead factor. Do you think that's maybe something that Eagles fans should be worried about, that their offensive coordinator is about to head off to be a head coach after this game?
Normally, I would say no. But if I remember correctly, and I'm looking at it right now. Oh, wait, No. Jonathan Gannon was the OC in Philly during the last Super Bowl, right? And he got that Cardinals job, and, well, their offense wasn't really a problem. But, look how that's working out for him in Arizona. So it's like, I don't know how much that's going to have a factor. I will say, if you want to look at the NFC side of things this year, Ben Johnson, who just took the job as the Chicago Bears head coach, while it wasn't his fault that Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions, or they turned the ball over 5 times, that offense didn't perform in that NFC divisional. So there might be something to that. Now, I will say that Kellen Moore is not someone that scares me, especially against Steve Spagnuolo. We're talking about Steve Spagnuolo potentially being the only assistant coach to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. I'm not scared of Kellen Moore in this game. Maybe that's disrespectful, but like,
I agree.
Spags is going to be like, hey, you see that quarterback over there? See Jalen Hurts? Let's send the house at him as often as we can early in this game. And if Jalen Hurts gets hit early with all the injuries going on right now, I don't think that's going to go well.
You think if he sees Nick Bolton come at his face that he'll just fumble again? And
I hope so.
Will scoop it up for scoop and score. So. Yeah, that sure would be nice. But I think that about wraps up this video, though. I think, Michael, we both agree that the Chiefs have a massive coaching advantage in this game, and quite frankly, it's not close.
Big one. And the Eagles have fine coaches. The issue is when you go into a game against the Kansas City Chiefs, you're not going to win the coaching advantage. The Chiefs have 2 Hall of Famers at the position. You're going to have like Bill Belichick and I can't even, like, what's the defensive coordinator equivalent? I can't even, like, I just don't know.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot. And I mean, the Chiefs are just so experienced. They're so poised in these situations now because they've done it over and over and over again. And I just think that's really hard to beat. It just the same way it was with the Patriots. Once they had done it so many times, it's just kind of like, it's intimidating, man. When you're the other team and it's Andy Reid, it's Steve Spagnuolo again, it's Patrick Mahomes, like that's just really hard to beat.
Yeah, and I just don't think, maybe this is the wrong line of thinking, Josh, but I've been down here and I haven't gotten as much Eagles stuff, but I've listened to them talk. They don't sound as locked in as the Chiefs do. And maybe that's just the homer in me, the bias coming out. The Chiefs are locked in, man. They've been locked in. They've been waiting for this moment. They've got the experience in these games that the Eagles don't. And while the people in the comment section that are Eagles fans are going to run and jump and they're going to say, oh, well, they've played in Super Bowls too. Yeah, they have. They haven't won them. The Chiefs have won. Trent McDuffie has not lost a playoff game. He's been in the league for 3 years. 3 years. He's got a chance to win 3 consecutive Super Bowls to start his career and have, 9, 10 consecutive playoff wins?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's ridiculous. So, yeah, some of the Eagles like Slay and, Hurts have been in this game, but they didn't win it.
No.
Sirianni didn't coach them to win that game. Like, I think the Chiefs are in good shape.
Yeah, and I'm sure there will be Eagles fans that watch this video. In fact, I hope there's Eagles fans that watch this video and just watch Michael. The comments are going to come flowing in and say, this is just some idiot in a slime hat. Why do we care what he has to say?
Yeah, I am an asshole in a slime hat right now, I will say. But I will also say, I'm down here in New Orleans at Radio Row. I'm talking to these players. I have got a better idea than the keyboard warriors, the mouth breathers back in Philadelphia. So I will say that to defend myself.
No, I think that's a perfect way to describe them. But guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this video there. So with all that being said, make sure you leave down in the comments what your thoughts are on the coaching discrepancy in this game. Do you think the Chiefs have a big coaching advantage? Would love to hear from you guys. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. You can check out my work on showmefootball.com, arrowheadaddict.com for more. Follow me on Twitter at showmefb. And then, Michael, before we go, where can the people find you?
You guys can find me on YouTube at KC Sports Report. That's kind of the one-stop shop for everything that I've been doing. Bunch of player interviews, whether it is, Mike Pennell or Spencer Schrader. We got just about everything. And we're going to have more interviews coming, tomorrow and later tonight. So you're not going to want to miss out on any of it. We're giving you guys some of the best content you're going to find on this platform.
Absolutely. And it's great having Michael kind of as our inside agent for the Super Bowl. I mean, I couldn't be there, unfortunately, but to have Michael.
Who else is going to talk to you with a slime hat on right now?
Yeah, exactly. And to have disco lights and the ski goggles.
We're professionals, Josh.
Yeah.
We're professionals, man.
I mean, you just can't get this anywhere else. So make sure you check out Michael's stuff on KC Sports Report. He's pumping out content right now. That'll all be in the description as always. That's all we got for this one, guys, though. We are signing off. And as always, go Chiefs.